This video is brought to you by HonorFirst.com, a nonprofit organization. I'm Clifford Gill, a retired Border Patrol Assistant Chief and one of its officers. History is filled with fascinating what-if moments. Some ideas change the course of institutions forever. Others are debated, considered, and ultimately abandoned. One such idea emerged during the early years of the United States Border Patrol and could have dramatically changed the organization we know today. Most people think of the U.S. Border Patrol and the U.S. Coast Guard as completely separate organizations. One protects America's land borders, the other safeguards its maritime frontiers. They wear different uniforms, follow different traditions, and perform different missions. Yet in 1930, Congress seriously considered placing the Border Patrol under the administration of the Coast Guard. The Border Patrol had been established only 6 years earlier when House Resolution 11204, the Border Patrol Act of 1930, was introduced. The proposal went far beyond cooperation between agencies. The legislation called for a United States Border Patrol that would operate under the administration of the Coast Guard. It authorized additional Coast Guard officers, new enlisted ratings for Border Patrol service, warrant officers, chief warrant officers, and even training facilities dedicated to the new organization. Supporters believed a unified organization could improve efficiency and coordination among federal agencies responsible for border security and anti-smuggling operations. At first glance, the proposal appeared reasonable. Both organizations protected the nation's borders and both performed law enforcement functions. However, significant questions quickly emerged. The Coast Guard was a maritime service with traditions rooted in ships, coastal operations, and military discipline. The Border Patrol was a civilian law enforcement organization whose personnel worked deserts, mountains, forests, river valleys, and remote border communities. While both served the nation, they operated in very different environments and had developed very different cultures. Those concerns were reflected in public discussions at the time. A lengthy 1930 article examined the proposal and questioned whether a maritime service was the appropriate home for a land-based border enforcement organization. While recognizing possible efficiencies, the article highlighted the practical challenges of combining two agencies with distinct missions, responsibilities, and operational methods. Although the proposal received serious consideration, Congress ultimately declined to move forward. The Border Patrol remained independent and the Coast Guard continued its maritime mission. Yet the story did not end there. In 1932, Congress revisited the concept through House Resolution 9747. Once again, lawmakers considered placing the Border Patrol within a Coast Guard-administered structure. Once again, the proposal failed to advance. For a second time, the idea was set aside and the Border Patrol continued along its own path. Looking back nearly a century later, these proposals raise an intriguing question. What might the Border Patrol look like today if Congress had approved the merger? No one can know for certain, but it is an interesting historical exercise. A Border Patrol operating within a uniformed service structure might have developed a formal rank system while retaining its unique identity and traditions. Patrol agents, senior patrol agents, and master patrol agents might have formed a structured enlisted workforce, while leadership positions such as patrol agent in charge and chief patrol agent could have functioned as command assignments similar to those found in other uniformed services. The uniforms may have looked different, the insignia may have looked different, the organizational structure certainly would have been different, yet the mission of protecting the nation's borders would have remained the same. It is important to remember that these concepts are presented solely as a historical thought exercise. They are not recommendations or policy proposals. Rather, they provide a way to explore how organizational decisions can influence the development of institutions over time. Ultimately, the merger proposed in 1930 and revisited in 1932 never occurred. The Border Patrol and Coast Guard evolved separately, each building its own traditions, culture, and expertise, yet the proposals remain one of the most fascinating what-if stories in Border Patrol history. The next time you see a Border Patrol badge or a Coast Guard uniform, consider this forgotten chapter of history. Nearly a century ago, Congress debated a future in which the two organizations might have evolved together. That future never arrived, but the story remains a remarkable reminder that history is often shaped as much by the roads not taken as by the roads that are. Honor first. HonorFirst.com gratefully acknowledges the Border Patrol Museum and historian Joseph Banco. Their historical materials continue to enrich our shared commitment to preserving the proud legacy of the United States Border Patrol.